Welcome to part 12 of the 2023 NFL Draft Class in Review. Today we are going to be looking at the Houston Texans draft class. And my initial impressions is that so far Houston is getting some pretty decent progress in righting the ship from a very unfortunate stint of basically trying to copy the New England Patriots, which pretty much always backfires in every team that tries its face. So we've now come around basically to the Texans needing a quarterback once again. And they think they've gotten one in quarterback CJ Stroud, of whom I'm not really that big of a fan of because, quite simply, I see this every few years. The classic Ohio State quarterback with, your impressive, gaudy numbers that ends up turning out to basically have been carried by his receivers in a conference that does not play defense very well against Ohio State. So, obviously, I have had negative opinions of Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins. Basically, everybody who's come out of Ohio State in the last decade, this college does not produce quarterbacks. It's just that simple. So, while C.J. Stroud has very good, very, very good stats here, he doesn't throw many interceptions. He's got enough mobility to run if he really has to, but, that's not really his game, which is a noticeable differentiating factor from some previous quarterbacks that have come out of this school, so give him a bit of a chance. But if I see what I've seen before, I'm going to be very quick to shut this down, because you've also got the fact that he did not do very well with, I think it was the Wonderlic score that got something like 18 on that. Now it's not the be-all, end-all of quarterback intelligence or anything, but that's still not something you want to see. I think you can actually take that test online, and I think I scored better than that. There was also some drama about him in the Peyton Manning quarterback camp, and the last time I heard some drama from that, the guy that walked out was Johnny Manziel. Not saying he's another Johnny Manziel, but, initial, that's an interesting look at his attitude. Like I said, take that with a grain of salt. That's just what I heard. So, here we go. Let's see if he can show that maybe Houston got lucky here again.
Down in the big house. Here's the Heisman frontrunner, C.J. Stroud, getting it to Harrison Jr.
They bring late pressure. It's picked up. Stroud right down the middle.
To the ground.
The pass to Ibuka for 8. Another throw by Stroud, looking for a lot more than 8. He's got a lot more than 8.
He's an outstanding defensive end. AS got him. There it is. Post pattern, and it is caught.
Starting to see what I don't like.
Off the play action, Stroud wants a downfield shot, and he's got Fleming running free, and Julian Fleming battles to the end zone.
Incredible receivers. C.J. Stroud in the end zone. Touchdown, Ibuka.
Yard line. Stroud winds up again in the seam.
That in big games, there's always a player that's going to rise up to the occasion. It was Ibuka.
And in this particular case, the big player rising to the occasion is Marvin Harrison Jr.
You got him wide open. Stroud using his legs, keeps the play alive, and it's going to be
Slant touchdown, Ibuka.
C.J. Stroud down the seam, caught. Touchdown, Julian Fleming.
I love watching it, Pitt, because it makes everything go.
And there's another throw, Harrison. He's got it.
Play fake. C.J. Stroud winds up, delivers. Oh, Harrison.
2nd and 9. C.J. Stroud keeps again. C.J. Stroud down the sideline. And out of bounds.
2nd down and 2. Here's C.J. Stroud again. And over the middle. Caught. Woo!
On a touchdown last week. Got a couple of passes early in the game today. Stroud throwing. This time it's from Marvin Harrison Jr.
They can read and react.
Yeah. I see absolutely nothing that I have not seen from every single other Ohio State quarterback that I have ever looked at. He is just throwing balls up, letting superior receivers beat the defense or catch balls that would have been intercepted if the defenders were any good and could, get their head around, make a play on the ball. This does not really bode well for me because he's going to the Texans. The Texans' running game is alright, but not something that, should really be leaned on to run an offense. In terms of receivers, you got Brandon Cooks, some of these guys that they've picked up in the draft in this class, and beyond that, I really couldn't tell you. So this guy's really already set up to fail while already showing the same sort of skill set that comes from playing quarterback in this conference. You are not going to face defensive challenge. And I've noticed the past couple of years that when Ohio State has come against significant defensive challenge, they've lost. That's just something that I cannot get around. He has not won when they have been challenged defensively. So I expect this might be a messy first year for him. Maybe not absolutely horrible if they can get him comfortable, if they can establish some targets he can rely on to catch the ball, it might not be horrendous, but this is the Texans we're talking about. Their offense isn't in good shape. I think he's going to struggle. So that's just how that is in my eyes. I just see another Ohio State quarterback. That's all I see. Just nothing new. We'll see these receivers. There's, I think, one or two still to be seen in this draft. There's going to be a couple more over the next couple of years. And we're going to be seeing them making plays, and it'll just be whoever's throwing them the ball just basically having to do the most basic shit to not miss easy completions. So I have a feeling it'll go that way again, where the receivers just end up better than the quarterback. So then the Texans kind of made a bit of a splash as they then went from picking 12 to somehow getting the Cardinals to hand over 3, and then 1 pick after Stroud, they picked Will Anderson Jr. And this is the sort of move that makes me pissed at the Cardinals, even though I'm not a fan of them, because really, what the hell? You need a player like this, and you trade it away. You better hit on what you got for it, or you're just going to end up looking stupid. And because it's the Cardinals, they're going to end up looking stupid because they're pretty much the only team in the league who can manage to get fleeced by the Houston Texans. Because this is fucking insane. 58.5 tackles for loss over 3 years, 34.5 sacks. Fuck, man. This is probably the best defensive player that Houston's picked since J.J. Watt, if not Mario Williams. So, we'll go over here and just watch the carnage.
Possession. Hand the ball off to James Cook.
Get off this block. Everybody wants to talk about him as a pass rusher, and I get it. I mean, he's had 17.5.
Johnson is hammered, and that's the...
It is. Quickly, they get it off. It is intercepted. This is Will Anderson Jr. Touchdown.
They weren't. Ball bounces straight up. The would-be, or at least intended.
The game up front. Anderson got to him again. Waited for the guy, just knew the game and knew how to play it well. They sack him again, converging on Swan. Will Anderson.
That's just so tough for a tackle. With this new group that he's working with.
Now can Bennett cash in? The pass is tipped.
I mean, he is not a pass rusher, and that's it. He has the ability, but he's almost like a safety or a linebacker.
Dart in trouble. Down he goes, and it's Will Anderson. 3rd and 7.
Rodgers goes down again, 7-6.
And no gain on that one.
How much space?
Looked like that was going to be maybe an option.
Pressure, ball hot.
Where 31 is? Of course he does. Every time he throws, he knows.
Tight end.
There he is.
And this is going to be a loss. Back to the 6.
Ashford. Here comes Anderson. He got a piece of the ball, and it flutters.
Series for Auburn. Started out with the illegal procedure. They got behind the chains, and number 31 has come to play.
Want to get a head job at the FBS. Keys pressured, and he goes down.
As it is, the Tigers still driving. 2nd and 1. Ashford swarmed under by Will Anderson his career.
Will Anderson pushed this guy. Actually, he shoved Shearer back in.
Successful in the country last.
He's got some real good power and ability to just dart around guys that are trying to block him, crushing the quarterback, crushing the running back. This is the sort of player that gets the sort of, defensive cornerstone. If this wasn't a quarterback draft, he would have went number 1. That's just how this goes. Honestly, I could have probably justified him number 1, even in spite of the quarterbacks, because, well, look at what I just said for the one of the two that went in front of him. And I'll give this a bit of a spoiler to the eventual Panthers draft review. I don't dislike Bryce Young, but I think he is in a remarkably horrible position that if he succeeds, it is going to be by pure, sheer fucking luck. So, like I said, I could have justified Will Anderson going number 1. But number 3 to the Texans, congratulations. You've got a defensive cornerstone level player with a defensive head coach. That is a pretty good recipe for success. So I won't be too surprised if Will Anderson is terrorizing quarterbacks in this league for the next, 10, 15, that sort of amount of years. So the 3rd selection, they picked up center Juice Scruggs. And I couldn't find an absolute ton to watch on this guy, but just judging from what they've got in terms of centers here, Jimmy Morrissey, 13 starts, 13 played, 4 starts over 3 years. Michael Deller, who's 57-23, he's at least been playing, but not really a frontline, absolute starting all the time type of guy. Scott Keisenberry says it'll listen to him as guard, so I'd imagine that Scruggs is probably going to be slated as the starter or Delter's backup. So we'll go over here. This is from draft night, because I really didn't want to go through the whole in-depth breakdown sort of video that takes 10 minutes to say anything, so.
There's just times, though, you see his legs die a little bit on contact. So I just want to see him be more consistent in that area. I know he can do it. Just want to see the consistency improve. I thought he's better as a power player than as a move space type player.
Yeah, kind of reminds you a little bit of Mustafa, right? Remember him coming out of there, Sam Mustafa? And then when you think about it also, a bigger version.
Having seen that, I would say maybe initially a backup, because combined with the potential problems there, that does suggest needing a little bit of coaching. So, really, it's just when the Texans elect to play this guy, if they do, because really center is one of those positions that I've kind of noticed that you can get a top-tier starting center basically wherever in the draft you want. You don't got to go this early. But it is impressive to me that he did go, back towards the back end of the second round, because I did hear that this guy was in a pretty significant car accident. So for him to have sustained something like that and ended up a late second round pick, that's pretty impressive. So keep an eye on that one. Next up is wide receiver Nathaniel Dell, and if this is a solid selection, then this is another position that the Texans badly needed, because they have basically just been running Brandon Cooks into the ground for the past couple of seasons. It's been really depressing to watch. I'm honestly surprised. Actually, let me sidetrack here real quick just to see if he's actually still on the team, because I'm not sure that he was. Doesn't appear that he is. So I think he got traded to the Cowboys. So basically, automatically, your number one guy is out of the picture here. So it's kind of a crapshoot who's going to come up with number one on this slot. So we go back to the stats. Nathaniel Dell, 1,300 yards, 2 consecutive years, not bad. 12 plus touchdowns both of the years, even better. So this could be one of those kind of stashed in the mid-rounds receivers that ends up turning into even pretty good. But it is University of Houston, so we'll see how he adapts to a bit higher level of competition in the NFL.
Tune, corner, open, caught, Tank, Dell, touchdown.
There, you got both feet down too. That's catching the
back
NFL.
of the end zone. Tank's got it. Touchdown, Houston. Big moment.
I like what I see there already, that in spite of the fact that this is probably not a particularly good school they're going up against, is getting both feet down. He's not one of these receivers I see that are only getting catches in college because he's getting the 1 foot down. He's getting both feet down. That is nice to see. Even with the increasing amount of what is and is not a catch in the NFL.
Tune fires. For Dell in traffic. Caught it.
Okay, so he wouldn't have gotten that one, but...
Plays it. Tune. Looking long for the Tank. He got room inside the 10 and down inside the 5.
Nutsy call.
McNamara with the boot. Great room here for the Tank.
Oh, doctor.
Nathaniel Dell. Call me the Tank. And he takes it in.
School junior. Tune, play action. Looking down the field. Flowing that way, complete. Tank Dell got open.
Tune has time. Deep ball. Dell behind the defense. He's got it for the touchdown.
String guy, Kai Horton, who's attempted one pass all season. Tune throws to Tank Dell. They had him isolated on the left side. Touchdown, Cougars. Wave. Tune looking for the corner, looking for Tank into the end zone. Touchdown, Houston. Pressure. Tune caught at the 45.
Kept the comeback.
I like this guy as sort of a possession sort of receiver. He's got some ability to hurt you deep, but what he seems to especially excel at is just catching the ball. So this is definitely something that the Texans are going to need. You've got a young quarterback, not a lot of weapons. You need a guy like this that can just catch the ball, get first downs, get touchdowns in the red zone. So I could definitely see Nathaniel Dell being a favorite target early on for C.J. Stroud. The only opposition I can really see to Dell is probably Robert Woods and John Mechie. That's about it. Everybody else on this roster, I see no reason that Dell shouldn't handily beat. So, and further, there's virtually no real competition aside from Dalton Schultz in the tight end room. So, right off the bat, like I said, this should probably be at worst the number 3 receiver. At best, far and away the number 1 receiver. So, next we go down to defensive end, Dylan Horton. And this one's kind of a little less sensical to me after getting Will Anderson. It's like, well, you've already fulfilled one, and do you really need another one? But they got a guy that really only broke out in his final season in college. 15 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks in his last year at TCU. But I do have to remember how that team got mauled by Georgia. So I'm not really sure how well he did in that game. that could be a little telling against higher level of offensive line competition. And you are going to have to deal with some higher level offensive lines. You know, the Colts, I don't expect them to be bad at 2 years running at offensive line. So that's 2 games right there. There's probably plenty more on the Texans' schedule this season. So this automatically looks like sort of a backup flyer pick, but we'll see.
They wanted to do here with their formation.
And it's Philly special, their version of it. Loveland broke a tackle, but he's in trouble. Colston Loveland.
Josh Newton read it, stayed at home, covered the receiver. D. Winters, who's had a brilliant first possession with excellent defense by TCU. They weren't fooled by the trick play, and they stayed home and made it.
At mid-season, McCarthy under duress. Swung down, back at midfield.
Penalty, he's going to come untouched right into the pocket, and then Dylan Horton's going to finish off the play. There's Hodges, there's Horton. Off the play. There's Hodges, there's Horton. And nowhere to go for
their approach is to wear you down. McCarthy, again, only a 3-man rush and nobody open. No, the ball's out and it bounces out of a
impressive athlete. 38-inch vertical jump, 4.5.
Good job chase the quarterback down there.
Closing.
Definitely needed talent in edge rushers.
McCarthy finally threw it away, given a lot of time, but against that 3-man
left the tackle box. So because he was not outside the tackle box, he doesn't have the ability to throw this away like that. If he's about 3 yards.
Sanders under pressure, his pass batted down.
Usually when they bring pressure, this time TCU does. 2nd and long, an unblocked linebacker in Hodges, and Spencer Sanders.
On first down, where's the win and take it immediately. First down and 10 to the 20-yard line for Morton. And Morton in trouble. Morton will go down behind the line of scrimmage again. Going to rush. 3 guys drop 8 into coverage because what are they expecting? They're expecting exactly what I was talking.
He'll line up in the slot to the right. They get the snap off in time. A man comes off the edge. Clean for a sack. Dylan Horton.
Atkins going to take off.
Didn't expect much for his New Mexico days.
Taken down.
In a single season.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably an initial backup, depending on what they want to do here, because I do see a few here. I think it might be Jerry Hughes. Yeah, that has played a while, and, you know, you've got experienced guys on this position, so it might be a bit of a struggle for Horton to really hit the field. So initially, I would say a backup, but maybe keep an eye on this one in a couple of years if, you know, Jerry Hughes leaves or Chase Winovich really doesn't do anything with this team. I'm still pissed we got rid of this guy. Yeah, so they've got defensive end, so Horton, an interesting backup selection for the initial chunk of his career, I would say. So, the next one, and I'm only going to take one stab at saying this guy's name, because fuck me. Okay. Henry Tohoto. Not sure if I got it right. If I did, fine. But I'm not saying that again. So, linebacker from Alabama playing, and it appears that they're going to put him at middle linebacker, so there's a chance. But, you know, Christian Kirksey, good luck getting around that. So, I'm immediately figure that this is another, oh my god. Oh, right. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so that is a bit more like what I want to see from a middle linebacker. Mid-90s, low 110s in terms of tackle production. That is a pretty good thing to have, though. He doesn't really put up much stats in anything else. Decent tackle for loss, not a lot of sacks, no interceptions, no pass deflections. Doesn't really seem to get involved in the fumble aspects either. This guy seems to just be a pure tackler. And there's nothing wrong with that, just, you know, maybe not what you want for a guy that might end up a starter. So like I said, I don't think this guy will be. I think he's a backup immediately and will probably take a couple of years to potentially develop beyond that. So, but that is good because that personnel that the Texans do have implies a bit of a 4-3 defense. So, one middle linebacker, so they don't really got to worry about the backups being on the field.
And Johnson hands it off at the 25, down by 1. Robinson squeezes through the hole. Gains a yard. Here's a handoff straight ahead. Bijan Robinson.
He could be a little more aggressive, I think. He just kind of mills there. Doesn't really commit to
They run
the tackle.
it with Malik Jackson, who doesn't get anything. Henry. Chandler has nothing, and down he goes. Tohoto.
Oh, Tohoto.
Kind of baited up and made it confusing for Andrew Henry. So it looked as if Lawson was going to blitz initially. He froze, kind of spot.
Mr. Vince Dooley. Malik Jackson has nowhere to roam.
Split out Swan. Davis will take the direct snap. And has nowhere to go. Henry Tohoto.
See, that's why, man, if he was used a bit more on blitzes, encouraged to be a little more aggressive, I think he could be a potentially dominating level middle linebacker, but I just don't see enough of that. So, like I said, this is one of those intriguing backups, a lot like Dylan Horton is maybe in a couple of years, but right now, no. So, I'll move us along to the next selection. They took another center, which really interests me, Jarrett Patterson. And because I think that Scruggs is probably the favorite here, I would assume that Patterson's probably going to end up getting moved to guard. That's just me theorizing. Plus, it does say that he has played left guard, so that kind of backs up that theory. So, silent video here, because that's just what this channel does. Good move off to the next block. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing guard move here because he comes off a little sluggish at center. Yeah, see, that's why I mean. I think that he'll be better off playing guard in the NFL because he just comes off a bit too slow at center. If you aren't on your man basically immediately in the NFL, even these big defensive tackles will blow right by you. The running back will get squashed, or the quarterback will have to either eat a sack from a guy that probably weighs twice as much as him, or throw it away in what'll probably end up being a pretty risky pass that borders on penalty bait. So, like I said, I think Patterson ends up backing up the guards. So, the next player is wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson, and pretty much right off the bat, like Nathaniel Dell, I figure if this guy's any good, he's got a pretty clear shot to pretty much just being an immediate impact player for the Texans because they need pass catching help, just plain and simple. And this is pretty good. This is pretty good. His stats pretty much go up every season, and that is something that I want to see. That shows a guy that is either being targeted more as guys rotate out, or a guy who's getting better and, really pushing his way upwards. And that is something I like seeing, even if it is in a conference like the Big 12, which is another conference I don't have a particularly fond opinion of.
Latavius Norman in the backfield, one-on-one there, and Xavier Hutchinson with the catch, and it's a touchdown. The answer from Iowa State.
He is getting double coverage all day from me.
2nd down and 8. Underneath, Hutchinson sheds one blocker, spins out of another, breaking 3 tackles
nice
to pick up the first down.
turning something into nothing. Turning nothing into something. That is something I like to see from any offensive player.
Throwing again, trying to go over the top. What a grab! Back-to-back sensational catches. First it was Bitter, and there it's Hutchinson.
In the backfield over the past several years. Very impressive. Speaking of impressive, Deckers has been here in this first half. Touchdown. Hutchinson has number 2.
Now a much more manageable 3rd and 2. They throw it. Caught by Hutchinson. Trying to beat Josh Hayes. Hayes finally able to get him down, but...
I'm actually a little curious here. I want to check his height out. 6'3", 210. Okay, so he's not a huge guy, but he's pretty big for a receiver nowadays. So, I kind of like that. This is sort of more of a big body target. Could be a bit of a problem for some of these smaller defensive backs to handle. I won't say this is an absolute steal, because it's not, but given the Texans situation, I could see this guy making the team, making a couple of plays. You know, maybe not being, a super flashy guy, but somebody to take a little bit of the attention away from Nathaniel Dell, Dalton Schultz, and maybe a guy like John Mechie. So, this is another interesting pick by the Texans. So, their final one is safety Brandon Hill. And, well, considering how the Texans have done so far, I wouldn't be surprised they got another player here that gives me something to think about, because they've done pretty well so far. Okay, so the tackles aren't really what I want to see from a safety. Honestly, none of these stats are what I want to see from a safety. The pass deflections are low. The interceptions are low. He doesn't really seem to get involved in the run-stopping game, at least behind the line of scrimmage anyways. Tackles, bit subpar. So, but we'll see. It's... Sometimes you get these players that don't statistically look very good, and then you see them, and there's a lot more to actually see.
On 2nd and 10. Play fake again for Hooker, setting up, and the pass is picked off.
Okay, you can at least,
on the quarterback.
You can at least intercept something that goes right to him.
That's good. He takes him right to the football, and now huge pit interception. Brandon Hill, who earlier had the personal foul.
Sheffield in the back to help with the block, and intercepted. And that is Brandon Hill to the house. Brandon Hill has the 3rd interception of the night for Pittsburgh, which gives them 11 on the year. That leads the country. Gentlemen.
Yes, it does. And Chubba Purdy.
7-0. Uyunglele lay short set and an incomplete pass. Tried to jam it into Davis Allen.
Waters fumbles the football, picked up by Pitt. That's Hill inside the 10. He gets a block and he'll score.
And it looks like it's number 2, David Green, who gets that initial ball knocked out.
At 48 here, 2nd quarter, 2nd and 10, handoff to Mathis. Mathis space, Mathis first down.
Stepping up, moving to his right, firing it downfield, and that ball incomplete
by Brandon Hill. You see the safety come.
I see this more as an intriguing special teams guy. He seems to do pretty well with the ball in his hands, so if I'm the Texans, I find a way to get the ball in his hands. Unless you've got someone better returning kicks, punts, whatnot, just, send them out there. Let them see if you can make something happen. Otherwise, I don't see too much. He just doesn't get involved very much in, making tackles, so it's... that's kind of the safety's primary job as far as I'm concerned. So it's like, what good are you beyond special teams if you're not doing that? So overall, though, I do like this class. This is maybe not the first class I've seen from the Texans that I've liked, but it is I do believe it is somewhat of a rarity for me to think the Texans actually did a good job because, you know, you've had these couple of other years where they've got like 4 or 5 selections. It's just like, wow, you really managed to fuck yourself somehow here. What happened? So, I would rate this about the same as I did for the Colts. This is about an A- to an A class. What brings it down is my dislike of CJ Stroud. I don't think he's going to be that good. I think the Texans are going to be back at the drawing board 2 or 3 years. But if they've hit it quarterback here, if CJ Stroud is literally the first quarterback to come out of Ohio State that was any good in the NFL, then this basically becomes an A+ class. You've got 2 star caliber players in the front 2 picks. Nathaniel Dell could do very well. Juice Scruggs, Dylan Horton, and the linebacker could do very well as well. Jarrett Patterson could be one of those down-the-line guys. Xavier Hutchinson, because of the weakness of the wide receiver position, he's got a chance. And Brandon Hill could contribute on special teams. This is a draft where every player could potentially make a bit of a difference for this team. And if you hit on the first 2, you've got 2 franchise-level players. That is a great draft by any standard, basically. Anything else is extra. So, like I said, this is an A- to an A draft that's got the potential to be an A+ draft when I look at this again in 5 years. So, that's going to do it for today. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, share the video, follow me on Twitter, all the good stuff, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow for the beginning of the AFC West with the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs.